true peace with one confession, the shocking secret to happiness they hid from you. I see you, a confession of an exhausted mind that finally found peace. Author Vahid Zekavati. Copyright VM Production. Introduction. You are tired, not from work, not from people, but from the role you wear every morning knowing it doesn't fit. You are tired of the inner voice that grants you no peace, constantly whispering you are insufficient, a fraud, and utterly alone. Deep down, you know this is not life, but a mandatory performance you execute with mounting stress and crippling anxiety. This book offers no hollow promises of eternal happiness. Instead, it is a mirror, a raw, unvarnished confession of the universal human suffering choked behind our social masks. And it will tell you that the true key to serenity is hidden precisely behind the pain you have spent your entire life trying to deny and escape.
Chapter 1. Why do I wake up every morning feeling empty? You recognize this damned emptiness, don't you? That void that cannot be filled by work, relationships, shopping, or endless distractions, and which opens its mouth to swallow you the moment your head hits the pillow. You wake up, open your eyes, and before you even register where you are, that heavy weight settles on your chest, reminding you that all your relentless effort and running have been nothing more than an elaborate escape from this initial morning moment. This is our shared, silent agony, an ache no one openly admits to, fearing the problem is uniquely theirs. Yet the harsh truth is, you are searching for something you haven't lost, running from the only entity constantly following you, yourself. That voice, that feeling of not being enough that has accompanied you since the beginning, doesn't stem from doing something wrong, but from spending a lifetime trying to live according to the definitions imposed by others and society. A beautiful scaffolding of do's and don'ts that, when breathed into, carries the stench of obligation and fear, not life. Every morning you wake up knowing you must play the role of the successful person you portray online, or the calm individual your family expects, and the void deepens. This chasm cannot be filled by external success because it is the empty space where your truth should reside, the denied truth screaming, "This is not me. This is not what I want." You have spent your entire existence constructing a gilded cage whose only guard is you. Every time you failed to heed your inner call to say no, you added a brick to that prison wall. Every instance you concealed your hurt to maintain appearances, you added another bar. Now that you sit within these thick walls, do you rush to escape by running faster? No, running only exhausts you more. Peace is not found outside these walls. It is right inside the cell where you are confined, and the only path to freedom is to sit down and befriend that morning emptiness, not flee it. Why do so many people, despite having everything, remain depressed and miserable? Because we have forgotten a vital appointment, the one we had with our authentic selves before the world dictated who we ought to be. That void you feel is actually a wake-up call, an emergency broadcast signaling you are on the wrong path. Stop saying you lack motivation. Admit your motivation is hiding in the wrong place. You wait for an external catalyst, while the true propellant lies not in external rewards or applause, but in the painful admission that you fundamentally don't know what you are living for. Now you must confess, you have been separated from yourself for too long. This internal severance is the mother of all your anxiety and suffering. And until you repair this broken connection, All your actions will be nothing more than ill-fitting patches on a torn garment. Peace is the art of rejoining that original, fearless self. You must go back to where the relationship with yourself was severed and start anew. This demands a resolute decision to confront the shadow you have been running from all your life. This is the first step no motivational guru will teach you, because the first step is always the most painful. Are you now ready to confront your false self?
Chapter 2. If everyone is happy, why am I always pretending? You participate in this grand spectacle too, don't you? That mask you carefully apply each morning so others believe everything is perfect. The mask of success, the mask of happiness, the mask of "I've got this." But has anyone ever truly seen your eyes from behind that mask? Those tired eyes screaming, "I can't do this, I am broken inside." You believe you are the only one playing this game of pretense, and that everyone else is genuinely those wide smiles and perfect social media photos. This is the greatest lie of our age, the lie of public happiness that forces us into hiding, filling us with deep shame. You are constantly comparing. Your mind operates like a ruthless scale, placing all your possessions, achievements, and relationships on one pan and everyone else's on the other. And invariably, your pan is lighter. This comparison is a torture device that you yourself have wielded against your soul. You are essentially comparing the backstage of your own life with the heavily edited stage of others. Have you ever considered that the person whose life you envy might be experiencing the exact same void you feel behind their closed doors? Suffering is a universal language that no one speaks openly. We have reached a point where admitting to suffering or confessing failure is deemed the ultimate weakness. Consequently, we expend all our vital energy trying to project a flawless image of ourselves. This pretense is not merely an energy drain, but a thief of your inner peace. You cannot simultaneously play the role of a happy person and actually be happy, because your entire focus is on showing, not being. This paradox is the hell you burn in daily, striving to prove something you are not. You must accept a bitter confession. You need this pretense because you are deeply afraid that if the real, insufficient you is seen, you will be rejected and left alone. The roots of these masks lie in an old, childlike belief that says, the real me is not lovable enough. And until you challenge this deep-seated, painful conviction, this perpetual role-playing will never end. You must realize that peace is the cessation of the effort to impress others. The only way to stop this pretense is to acknowledge that your pain, your failures, and even your shortcomings are valid. Inner peace begins the moment you no longer require external validation. This is absolute freedom. Let others see you with all your scars. Let them judge. Your freedom is far more valuable than shallow affirmation. Now, do you want to peel off that mask that has adhered to your skin for years and finally confront your inner critic?
You hear its voice too, don't you? That small yet merciless voice that trivializes all your accomplishments, mocks your every effort, and questions every decision you make. This inner critic is the #1 enemy of your peace, a public prosecutor whose only duty is to declare you guilty, weak, and inadequate. You believe this voice is yours, but in truth, it is the echo of every rebuke you heard in childhood, every unfulfilled expectation of others, and every unrealistic standard imposed by society. This voice has never loved you, so why do you remain so loyal to it? Every time you make a mistake, this critic appears with a louder-than-ever shout, reminding you, "See, I told you so. You always mess up." You sit and endure this psychological torture for hours, hoping its criticisms might somehow make you better. But the reality is, negative self-talk doesn't improve you. It merely paralyzes you and prevents you from taking any new action. The biggest obstacle on your path to happiness is not the toxic people in your life, but this seemingly compassionate critic within you who is actually a psychological terrorist. You must grasp this truth. This voice is not you. It's an outdated program installed in your brain that now runs on autopilot. You are not its prisoner, but because you have claimed ownership of it, you feel that separating from it means separating from a part of your own existence. This critic has always assigned you a role. You must be the victim. You must be the failure. You must always be struggling. And to maintain this false identity, you unconsciously sabotage all your efforts towards success. This is self-sabotage. Peace means ending this civil war. How? Not by fighting the voice. The more you struggle against it, the stronger it becomes. You must relegate this voice to the status of a background reality. Accept that it exists, but no longer grant it the power to act. When the critic says, "You are not smart enough," respond with your true inner voice. "Thank you for the information, but I will proceed with my work." This is where you strip away its power. You are not the owner of your thoughts, but you are responsible for your reactions. The only real way to silence this critic is to start acting, not just thinking about acting. The more you get trapped in a negative thought cycle, the louder the voice gets. But when you take a step and exit that comfortable mental zone, action silences the critic. You must stop trying to prove your goodness to it and start living your own life. How much of your current relationships are a reflection of this very critical voice? And can you see the roots of these dependencies?
Chapter 4. Why is no relationship stable, and why am I always rejected? You always enter relationships with a profound fear, the fear of rejection. And this hidden fear is precisely what unconsciously invites rejection into your life. In relationships, you look for a major flaw to prove that the world is an unsafe place and abandonment is your inevitable fate. Consequently, you either cling too tightly, dependency, suffocating the other person until they flee, or you build a tall, impenetrable wall from the outset, avoidance, to keep them away before they can reject you. In both scenarios, you are merely reenacting the old wound of rejection. We have been taught to confuse love with need. When you enter a relationship, you are not seeking a life partner, but an emotional caretaker whose job is to fill your inner void and validate your worth. No human being can shoulder the heavy burden of all your deficiencies, and any relationship founded on intense need and fear of loneliness is doomed to collapse. You must confess this painful truth. You are drawn to people who will ultimately leave you because that pattern is familiar and predictable to your subconscious, not suitable and healthy. You must shatter this glass ceiling. No one, not your partner, not your parents, and not your closest friend, is responsible for your happiness or your peace. As long as you tie your inner contentment to external variables, like the presence or absence of a single person, you will constantly feel threatened and insecure. This hidden anxiety manifests as jealousy, control, and unreasonable expectations, behaviors that, like a repellent force, push away the very person you fear losing. You create your own rejection with your own hands. Now, pause and think about solitude.
You fear loneliness because it forces you to face the inner critic, the emptiness from chapter 1, and all the pain you have swept under the rug. Peace in relationships begins the moment you reach a point where being alone is a choice, not a fear. When solitude no longer frightens you, you no longer need to desperately cling to others. And this is when healthy, peaceful relationships are involuntarily drawn toward you. The only way to have a stable, peaceful relationship is first to build a stable, deep relationship with yourself. Forgive yourself, affirm yourself, and love yourself not for what you do, but simply for being. This unconditional self-love is the ultimate anchor of peace. Now that you are constantly running for the validation of others, have you ever asked where all this futile running has led you?
Chapter 5. How do we run so much, yet never reach peace? You run, morning till night, like a rat on a wheel. You run to earn more money, do more work, and gather more information. You believe that reaching the destination or completing your to-do list is the key to peace. But the moment you achieve that goal, you feel a small void, a subtle voice saying, "That's it? Now what's next?" This futile running is an intelligent form of escape. By cluttering your life, you save yourself from confronting the difficult, deep questions and from facing the pain within. Stress is not an external enemy. It is an old friend that doesn't allow you to slow down and look into your depths. You're addicted to movement and performance. We live in a culture that equates stillness and peace with laziness. Consequently, if you are not doing something or if you are not busy, you feel guilty. You need active inaction, moments where you are doing nothing but are completely present and aware. But you fear this state because it is in silence that all the mental noise rises. To maintain this busy and important identity, you unconsciously create new tasks and manufacture crises for yourself. Peace is not the result of trying harder. It is the result of stopping the effort. You cannot buy peace in the market or receive it from someone. Peace is a state that naturally manifests within you when you stop trying to control every variable in your life. This need for control is the mother of all your anxieties. You must learn that having and being are two completely different things. You can have the entire world and still be empty inside. Peace is about decoupling your worth from the amount of work you do or the things you possess. When you come to terms with your inherent value, you no longer need to prove it by running. Sit down and observe how good you feel when you are doing absolutely nothing. This is the first step in disrupting the habit of stress. The key to reaching this peace lies in conscious breathing and presence in the moment. You are always either regretting the past or anxious about the future. This moment of the present is the 0 point where no suffering exists. Peace is hidden in this pure instant. Now that you know many of your actions are merely an escape, how ready are you to question the false self you created to hide?
Yes, you must get rid of it. You have constructed a complex persona, a second self, built entirely on fears, others' expectations, and repetitive patterns. This false self is the person you see every morning who, despite their successes, feels no contentment. You fear separating from this persona because you believe if you shatter this hard shell, nothing will remain of you. And this is the greatest mental delusion. You fear that your simple truth might not be interesting enough, or, more importantly, not safe enough. This false identity has alienated you from your true self. Every decision, big or small, passes through the filter of will others approve and is it safe? This is why you never feel authenticity or real life. You cannot simultaneously be the approved self and be free and unbound.
Freedom has a high price, and that is letting go of all these definitions and statues you have carved for yourself. The truth is that for a long time, you have been in love with your own pain. Your wounds and stories of failure have become part of your identity, and you unconsciously feed on them to appear special or to receive attention. You fear embracing the truth because the truth is profoundly simple. You are a human being with flaws and talents who does not need to prove yourself to anyone. This acceptance is the beginning of a spiritual journey and an inner transformation that will completely overturn all your relationships and decisions. Embracing your truth means having the courage for disapproval. Let them say you have changed. Let them say you are not the same as before. These are signs that your path is the right one. You are moving toward authenticity, a place where you no longer need to explain yourself. Inner peace is about no longer worrying about others' reactions and focusing all your energy on living in alignment with your deepest values. You must bravely silence that inner voice that frightens you away from change. This change is an internal death, the death of the false self, and the birth of a new self, liberated from fears and judgments. This liberation is difficult, but it is the only path toward lasting peace. Now that you know this false shell must be broken, are you ready to accept that you don't need a catastrophe to occur in order to change?
Chapter 7. Does a catastrophe have to happen for me to change? You are waiting for a major crisis, aren't you? Waiting for a divorce, a bankruptcy, or an illness to finally wake you up and make you say, I must change my life. Why are you so cruel to yourself that you need a crushing blow to awaken? We humans resist change because our brains love the safe, predictable zone, even if that zone is a dark, cramped cage. Catastrophes only do one thing. They force you out of that zone because it is no longer safe for you. You can wake up today without the need for destruction. It is a big lie to think you must wait until everything is lost to appreciate what you have or to change. This resistance to change is rooted in the fear of the unknown. You worry about who you will be if you step onto a new path, what will happen to your relationships, and if you will fail in this new journey. This fear traps you in a repetitive cycle of routine and suffering. The truth is, the small daily agonies, that inner critic, that emptiness, and those damaging relationships are your hidden catastrophe. You are waiting for a massive thunderstorm while the water is quietly carrying you away. Awakening means recognizing that you are suffering right now, and you don't need to wait for a greater misery. This is a shocking confession. You have become accustomed to your current pain and prefer it to the discomfort of change. Peace is found in becoming your own awakening catalyst. This means sitting down and being absolutely honest with yourself. I know this is not my life, and I am responsible for creating change, not destiny. This conscious action is your most powerful move. Start right now with small but different actions. A firm no, a conscious letting go. These small steps will gradually build the confidence needed for the big leap. For change, you don't need inspiration. You need commitment. You must commit to yourself that you will no longer stay in that false role, no longer allow the critic to torture you, and no longer sacrifice your peace for others' approval. This commitment is the first seed from which your inner tranquility will sprout. Now that you know the time to change is now, if you were to let go of everything that currently imprisons you, what would remain of your life?
Chapter 8. If I Let Go. will my whole life fall apart. This is the greatest illusion of control. The belief that if you don't tightly grasp all the strings, your entire life will unravel and fall apart. This fear of letting go has turned you into a complete control freak. You put relentless pressure on all your relationships, tasks, and even your thoughts to proceed exactly as you wish, and this endless pressure is precisely what annihilates your peace. Letting go does not mean irresponsibility. It means a profound trust. Trust that even if you let everything go, you possess the inner capacity to manage the situation. You are actually afraid of letting go of the outcome. You fear that if you stop trying to control your partner, they will leave you. You fear that if you stop trying to control your work, you will fail. This fear stems from a deep lack of faith in the flow of life and your own inner strength. You must understand that control is an illusion. The only thing you can control is your reaction to events, not the events themselves. Your entire life provides evidence that the more you have tried to control, the more counterproductive the result has been. This is where the philosophy of let it go and let it be enters. Letting go means accepting that some things are not in your hands, and this inability is not a weakness, but a fundamental part of being human. This acceptance lifts a heavy burden from your shoulders. You no longer need to be the guardian of the entire world. You can stand back and allow things to unfold, knowing you are stronger than any single failure that could possibly destroy you. Peace is about shifting your power from external control to internal awareness. Instead of worrying about what will happen, ask, how can I respond best in any given situation? This shift in perspective does not diminish your inner force, it strengthens it. Letting go is a brave action, not a retreat. You must confess to yourself once and for all that you are exhausted from all this pressure. For once, allow life to simply happen. Letting go is actually giving permission for peace to enter your life. This action creates a void, and in that void, the genuine purpose and meaning of your life can finally emerge. Now that you know you must let go of certain things, are you ready to uncover the true meaning of all the suffering you have endured?
Chapter 9. Is the suffering I endure really a gift? This question is shocking, isn't it? Your whole life you've been told that suffering is a curse or a defect that you must flee from or conceal. But the deeper truth is this: suffering is the language of your soul. In fact, suffering is the only thing that can wake you from your deep slumber and routine, pulling you into your innermost depths. All the beautiful things you have built in your life, all your resilience and inner strength, have come from a path that was painful. Your scars are not weaknesses, they are your roadmaps. You believe you must be rid of suffering to be happy, but the reality is that your suffering is your bridge to meaning. The people who have lived most deeply were not those who felt no pain. They were the ones who could attribute meaning to their suffering. When you can look back and say, I endured this pain, and because of it, I learned this lesson and gained this power, then suffering transforms into a sacred gift. You must build a new relationship with your suffering, not as an enemy, but as a fierce, relentless teacher. Every time you feel pain, instead of fleeing, sit with it and ask, what is this pain trying to teach me?
This consciousness shifts your power in the face of pain. The pain becomes a catalyst for your growth and inner awakening. This is where your wounds become your sources of strength. Peace is hidden not in the absence of suffering, but in the conscious acceptance of suffering. When you accept that suffering is an inevitable part of the human experience and learn from it instead of fighting it, you no longer fear it. This acceptance is the greatest liberation and a massive step in your spiritual journey. No more need for pretense or escape. You can feel the pain and, simultaneously, be at peace. Now, you must have the courage to tell the story of your failures and scars, not to elicit pity, but as a proof of survival and a source of power. This act not only heals you, but also gives courage to others who are hiding the exact same pain. Now that your suffering is no longer a shameful secret, where in this hell of a life should we look for lasting peace?
Chapter 10. Where is peace truly hidden in this hell of a life? You have run through all 10 chapters, confessed your struggles, torn off your masks, and understood that letting go of control will not destroy you. Now you are waiting for me to hand you the final key, waiting for a magical formula or a specific location where eternal peace is hidden. But the truth is simple and shocking. Peace is found not at the destination, not in escaping the hell of life, but precisely in the conscious heart of this very hell. Peace is not the absence of problems or the end of challenges. Life will always be accompanied by challenges, suffering, and ups and downs. This is the unchangeable reality of the world. Peace is that despite the external storm, you possess an anchor within yourself, a center of awareness that no external force can displace. Peace is the byproduct of acceptance. Acceptance that you are imperfect, the world is unfair, and everything is temporary. The key is this: you must stop searching for peace. The more you chase it, the more it eludes you. Peace is like your shadow. When you try to grasp it, it runs away. But when you turn around and start living your life, it suddenly appears beside you. You spent your entire life running toward a peaceful future and lost the peaceful present. Peace is the silence between the notes. In that brief gap between a negative thought and your reaction, in that moment when you breathe and make no judgment, that is where peace reveals itself. Instead of solving all your external problems, you must work on developing your capacity for awareness. Through meditation, presence in the moment, and the daily practice of letting go, this inner anchor is built. You have completed a journey, from mourning emptiness to understanding the meaning of suffering. Now you must wake up and live. Peace is neither a reward nor a goal. It is the natural state of your being before the fears and lies of the world took it from you. Now that you have made all the confessions and seen the truth, it is time to act and announce the promotional script of this book to the world.
Conclusion. You can no longer claim ignorance. All the curtains have been pulled back. The truth is in your hands. Happiness and the enjoyment of life depend only on having peace. And that peace is hidden not in running from pain, but in the conscious embrace of suffering. You have learned that you must shed the masks, disregard the critic's voice, and release control. Awakening is not one grand moment, but a collection of small, resolute decisions. Right now, without the need for another catastrophe, choose to rewrite your life and be fearless. This book brought you to the edge of the abyss of truth. Now jump and watch your wings unfold.